Now, prehistorian Annette Ampère studied cave art and concluded that cave art reflects a division of the sexes, which was the fundamental division in the world at that time. Another historian stated, the whole spectrum of Paleolithic society is structured, perhaps predictably, around the opposition between male and female components of society. Lampere Ampère held that images of animals seen in cave art depict a model of that society, and the model is a duality between male and female. All the females were slaves. They were black African slaves. And all the males were either their mixed race children or their Caucasian enslavers. And that was a duality. There were no white females, and most black males never grew up. They were either eaten, because that's what they were, either eaten or they were became part of the army or part of the males. So, and the cattle and bulls are the totem of the Aryan Neanderthal tribes. Cattle and bulls are degenerating. The cow's esophagus mutated to form 4 stomachs so that he could pursue grazing animals. He wanted to eat grass when he had to, but he went out on the steppes or to pursue these grazing animals, and he created 4 stomachs. Now the horse symbolizes native people. Am I ready to talk about that? The horse signifies native people because both horses and natives change and cycle with nature. They mutate and new categories form and cycle with nature. Now, Pearl Knock is an underground cave sanctuary in south central France. Now, paintings in the caves, that's these, that date from 20,000 years ago, include these 2 horses. Now, and they've got dots on them. They've got black and red dots on them. Now, this is an underground cave, and it's hard to get to. The horses have red and black dots on it. Now, Alexander Marshak used infrared photography and was able to tell that the outline on one of the horses was painted, and then red and black dots were painted on the horse on different occasions. Then the second horse was painted in a like manner. Now, prayer changes things. Prayers are radiations of intense emotional mental energies that are amplified and intensified by intense suppression. Think of a ball with air in it. The more you press on it or suppress it, the more the energy expands until the energy is completely expanded. Now, slaves increased their orbit or their radius of their mental sphere of radiation as they communicated with other slaves, often their children, who were carried into the ice fields of North America or somewhere else. They would think about they would try to follow them, and they put these dots on the horses when they could communicate with them. The large horses indicated specific caves. The red and black dots indicated mixed race populations from the cave. Now, I'm not sure, red may have been the mixed race children, or it may have been the males, and black usually indicated the females or the purebred African people, females who were slaves. Now, dots were added as they communicated with them and traced their movement of their relatives in the ice fields of North America. But when they started tracing their ice fields, they communicated with the kingdom of Atlantis in South America. Prayer changes things. Now, Garga's cave is located, that's who a lot of these drawings were for. Remember, the Atlanteans could see through the walls, and they could read even at a distance, and they communicated with the people in the caves. Now, Garga's cave is located in the Pyrenees Mountains of southern France, near Marseille. Known as the Cave of 100 Mutilated Hands, it contains red and black stenciled prints of hands with what are described as the most astonishing deformities. Now remember, these people were making those stone tools, those flake tools, and they were bringing in materials from Holy Cross Mountain in Poland, and they were shipping them over to Mu. So these people, these slaves were in there making these, and they had these astonishing deformities on their hands. And the painting of hands dates from the Solutrean period, when the slaves made the pressure plate knives and tools of flint. Now more than half of the stencils are of hands that lack the upper joints of all 4 fingers. The thumbs, however, seem to have escaped injury. Now, a noted anthropologist, Richard Leakey, as a matter of fact, stated that the images are not a deception or trick of painting, and there's no doubt that the hands were mutilated. Included in the stencils are several prints of the uninjured hands of young children who were held up to the wall. They also did the same thing in a cave in Spain and in one in the Pyrenees. They show the same type of mutilations. Now, cases stated that a priestess or scientist in the kingdom of Atlantis pleaded for aid to the enslaved people in the Franco-Cantabrian region, acknowledging she pleaded for overtures to the people for acknowledging the labors and to make their experience easier. A lot of the people had considered them as things not capable of thinking and radiating out until she started pleading for them. Then people of Atlantis began to mentally communicate with people in the caves, thus increasing their orbital spheres, meaning the people in the caves, and really probably the people in Atlantis. Now the climate began to change around 20,000 years ago, becoming warmer. Now modern science states that the rapid recovery of the warming temperatures around 20,000 to 16,000 years ago was due to variations in the Earth's orbital behavior. So in other words, their spheres of energy were getting bigger and it was changing the size of the Earth. Okay, historians state that after a brief stay, mind you, of 2,000 to 3,000 years in the Franco-Cantabrian region, Solutreans vanished abruptly. They just went away. Now, as the climate changed, summer temperatures in the Franco-Cantabrian region began to average 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Plant life became abundant and the tundra and steppes filled with very tractable herds of large grazing animals. Now, reindeer are creatures of habit. You have vast herds that tend to migrate through the same region year after year after year at the same time. So the people in the Franco-Cantabrian region, as it grew warmer, first they became reindeer hunters, and they ate reindeer. And as the temperature became warmer, they began to eat salmon. Now, they called them Magdalenians. That's what they call those people who lived in those caves. First they became nomadic reindeer hunters. Then they occupied some sites. You could tell they occupied them just when the reindeer were passing through France. Now 99% of all animal bones in their refuse heaps were those of reindeer. Now this painting comes from a cave they call wait a minute, I can say that. They call this, I just can't find it on my paper, what they call the cave. Trois Frères Cave. That means Three Brothers Cave, because 3 brothers had discovered it. But anyway, one of the paintings is located in a chamber, that's this one, some 12 feet above the floor of the cave. Now the chamber is like a podium or pulpit. It has a place where a speaker can come out and just kind of grab the crowd to hear what he's saying. Now this picture was engraved on I had to copy it, it's not very good, but that's about what it looked like. I traced it more than copied it. But engraved on the wall rock face, just beside the opening of is an artwork. They call this the sorcerer, because some people think that this represented the shaman, and the cave was a place for classes on reindeer habits, migratory routes, anatomy, etc. And I would say it does kind of look like that. Now, during the Solutrean period, France had a population of 2,000 to 3,000 people, and 400 to 600 of them lived side by side in 4 or 5 rock shelters. I wish I should have gotten a picture of those rock shelters. They're along the cliff edges, and they have a long overhanging roof line. It's an open area. And about 2,000 to 300 people lived in those rock shelters, and about 400 to 600 of them lived side by side in 4 or 5 rock shelters. Now, the rest of the European population at that time, including that of Spain, was estimated at about 10,000 people. This was while the Solutreans were there. The population of France alone increased to over 50,000 people after Solutreans left. This is called Magdalenian times. Now, the earth grew progressively warmer between 20,000 and 15,000 years ago.